जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा।
जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा।
जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा।
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद।
जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा।
जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद।
श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय।
जय
श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय।
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय
सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. I'm sorry I'm late today. Let's read from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 17, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in his youth. So, we were reading yesterday how this Brahmana, Smartha, atheistic Brahmana, he advised Nimai Pandit to chant Krishna's names instead of Gopi's name because Gopi. Because what's the benefit in chanting Gopi? Whereas if you chant Krishna, then you'll get some piety. And when Mahaprabhu chased after him with a stick, he ran to a group of other students. So there were about 1,000 students gathered together. He went there and he complained. One second. He went and complained. So then, what did all these other Brahmana students do? Hearing the foolish student, well, that we read already. One second. Yesterday I didn't bookmark it, it looks like. Yeah. So he ran, and the Lord was chasing after this student, and other devotees came and stopped the Lord, and this student was able to escape. And then he went to the a gathering of about 1,000 students, and he described the whole incident there. And in that context, yesterday we read that only Brahmanas in the Vedic society, only the Brahmanas are allowed to study. And then we saw the comparison of Western system of education, how it is not um, um, it's not actually beneficial. Giving everyone it's simply waste of time and energy, waste of the human form of life, spending so much of time trying to educate those who don't have that, you know. And by the way, what is real education? Right? We are simply teaching some technology. That cannot be called education. Education means studying the Vedas. And then what is the essence of all the Vedas? Vedaishcha sarvairahameva vedya. So, like we are reading about Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj, he is actually a learned person. He understood the essence of all the Vedas. Although he is doing his duties as a king, but his every thought, his every desire, his every sense is engaged in satisfying Krishna. That is the purpose of all the Vedas, to come to the point of serving Krishna. That is a really learned person. So, therefore, if you want to become learned, then you should simply read books like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and these should be taught to children also. If we don't do, then simply technological education will only create chaos in the society. That's what we read yesterday. We'll continue. Text 254. So how did these other group of students respond? Shuni krodha koila sabha paduyara gana sabe meli kore tabe prabhura nindana. Hearing of the incident, all the students became greatly angry. Yeah, how dare this Nimai Pandit? He attacked you with a stick. Who does he think he is? And you are a Brahmin too. What right does he have to attack another Brahmin? If he acts like this, we are going to teach him a good lesson. We are going to beat him up like this. All of them got together and they started criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the students became angry, greatly angry, and joined together in criticizing the Lord. Sabha desha bhrashta koilo ekala nimai brahmana marite chahe dharma bhoy nai. Nimai Pandit alone has spoiled the entire country, they accused. He wants to strike a caste Brahmana. He has no fear of religious principles, right? Brahman, you're going to attack a Brahmana. You don't fear the punishment of attacking a Brahman. He has spoiled all dharma. This Nimai Pandit has spoiled the entire country like that. Purport. In those days also, the caste Brahmanas were very proud. They were not prepared to accept chastisement even from a teacher or spiritual master. Now, this is actually pretty interesting. He's talking about dharma. What is dharma? Submitting a tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana. This is dharma. By the way, dharma is given by whom? Dharmam sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Lord Krishna himself is giving dharma in Bhagavad Gita. And he said, this is the principle between a student and a teacher, spiritual master. And they're not willing to accept punishment from the teacher, from the spiritual master. What kind of dharma they're following? And yet they have the audacity to complain that Nimai Pandit is spoiling dharma in the whole country. Like this. So, the caste Brahmanas, Prabhupada points out on the caste Brahmanas, they're very proud, whether it is back then or now, caste Brahmanas are very proud of their position because they feel they're on top of the world. The Brahmanas, we are the chosen ones, right? So nobody is above us. We cannot be corrected or chastised by anyone. This is a caste Brahmana. Whereas a Vaishnava, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, not expecting any respect for oneself. This is a Vaishnava. There is a caste Brahmana. Caste Brahmana means he's not a devotee. He is only puffed up of his position. That's the difference. Okay. So, yeah, they were all complaining, criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Punah jadi aiche kore mari batahare kon ba manusha hoy ki korite pare. If he again performs such an atrocious act, certainly we shall retaliate and strike him in turn. What kind of important person is he that he can check us in this way? Right? Who is he? He is a Brahman, so what? We are not Brahmins. We are also Brahmins. How is he better than us? Like this. Prabhura nindaya sabara buddhi hoila nash. Supatita Vidya Karo Na Hoy Prakash. When all the students criticized, thus resolved, criticizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their intelligence was spoiled. Yes, it is said, Vinash Kale Viprit Buddhi. Right? Your intelligence, when your bad time comes, your intelligence runs in the opposite direction, it is said. So their intelligence was spoiled. But why their bad time came or why their intelligence got spoiled? Like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, what is the only problem in this world? We can say there are so many problems, right? Or there's coronavirus, or there is you know uh, some riots, religious riots, or what else? Bad weather, war, pestilence. These are all problems in life. But actually, the root of all problems is only one: lack of Krishna consciousness. Turning away from Krishna, not lack, actually absence. That's the right word. We shouldn't use the word lack. Lack of. Lack means less. But here the problem is absence. There is no Krishna consciousness. The, the root cause of all problems in life is absence of Krishna consciousness. So naturally, what is the solution to all problems? Becoming Krishna conscious is the solution to all problems of life. Bringing in Krishna consciousness is the solution. Absence of Krishna consciousness is the problem in this world. So here also, why their intelligence is spoiled? Because of absence of Krishna consciousness. They are criticizing Mahaprabhu, and because of this criticism, now their intelligence is spoiled. And when intelligence is spoiled, you will do things in the wrong way and you run into suffering. Thus, although they are learned scholars, because of this offense, the essence of knowledge was not manifested in them. Again and again, we see this principle. You all remember Daksha Yagya? There also, there were so many Bhrigu Muni and his followers, descendants. They're all Brahmanas, but uh, in that arena of Daksha Yagya, lot of offenses were done against a Vaishnava, and then counter cursing happened. One party took the side of Daksha, the other party took the side of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva's followers were cursing Daksha's followers. Daksha's followers were cursing Lord Shiva's followers. So there one of the curses was, even though you are so learned in Shastra and everything, you will not be able to understand what is the essence of all the scriptures. What is the purpose of studying all the Shastras? You will not be able to understand. That was one of the curses for the followers of Daksha. So like that, when we do an offense, then we cannot get uh, externally we are still chanting and we are doing everything, but we will not understand the message. We may be believing that yes, I am a devotee, I am a nice devotee, but really devotee is a state of your consciousness. And devotee means Trinadapi Sunichana. Instead of feeling ourselves humble, we'll start thinking, I'm a great devotee. And when I start thinking like that, then itself I should understand I'm far from being a devotee as soon as I start thinking like that. Or maybe I'm always in that consciousness. That means I have not become a devotee, not even come to becoming a devotee. So these people, these students, they were all great learned scholars, but because of offense to Mahaprabhu, even though they studied the scriptures, they couldn't understand the essence of the scriptures. How do we understand the essence of scriptures? Is it simply by learning? Can we understand the essence of scriptures? No. One who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and who has equal amount of unflinching faith in the spiritual master. To such a person, all the imports of the scriptures are revealed from within his heart. Even though he may be an illiterate from material standards, he may not be able to read even, then how he will know the scriptures? But all the imports of the scriptures are revealed from within his heart. The condition is, again, Ambarish Maharaj. What was his qualification? He was a great devotee of the Supreme Lord and a great devotee of the devotees of the Lord. Both, same principle. One who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and equal amount of faith in the spiritual master. To such a person, all the imports of the scriptures are revealed. But someone else, like these students, they're studying the scriptures, memorizing, they can quote the whole Bhagavatam maybe. Still, Mahaprabhu is there in front of them. They cannot recognize he is the Supreme Lord. And even they're ready to beat him up. That's the point. So here, when all the students thus resolved, criticizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their intelligence was spoiled. Thus, although they were learned scholars, because of this offense, the essence of knowledge was not manifested in them. So when we do offense, knowledge will not be manifested in our heart, the essence of knowledge. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Mayaya pahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. When one becomes inimical to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, adopting an atheistic attitude, asuram bhavam, even if one is a learned scholar, the essence of knowledge does not become manifested in him. In other words, the essence of his knowledge is stolen by the illusory energy of the Lord. Mayaya apahrita jnana. Jnana is knowledge. Apahrita means stolen away. By whom? Maya. He is a great scholar. So many titles after his name. But the essence of knowledge is stolen away by Maya. He won't understand the purpose of all that knowledge. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes a mantra from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite kathita hyarthaha prakashante mahatmanaha. The purport of this verse is that one who is unflinchingly devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu and similarly devoted to the spiritual master with no ulterior motive becomes a master of all knowledge. In the heart of such a devotee, the real essence of the Vedic knowledge becomes manifested. This essence is nothing but surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the thing. If you ask then what is the essence of all the Vedas? That's the last instruction Krishna gave in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. This is the essence of all the scriptures. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Just surrender to the Supreme Lord. Forget all other dharmas. This is the essence of all the scriptures. But still, there are so many scholars of the scriptures. How many are actually surrendering to Krishna? They cannot surrender to Krishna. Why? Because for us to surrender to Krishna, simply knowing Sanskrit is not sufficient. The principle is you have to have unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord. Shraddha. You need Shraddha. And you cannot say only Shraddha in Krishna. You should have the same amount of Shraddha in the spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Yasya aprasada nagati kutopi. Yes, when the spiritual master is pleased, then Krishna is pleased with me. If the spiritual master is displeased with me, I have no gati. There is no way that I'll be able to please Krishna. So therefore, faith. So what are we doing here? Every day we are trying to cultivate our faith. We want that unflinching faith in the lotus feet of Krishna and in the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Because if we get that faith, then all the essence of all the scriptures. What is the essence of all the scriptures? Why are we even hearing the scriptures, by the way? At this stage, we are hearing to build our Shraddha, right? Once you get Shraddha, then what do? You just do bhakti. Then that hearing is what? That is directly devotional service. To please Krishna, you'll be hearing. You don't stop hearing after you get Shraddha. But that hearing is bhajan, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. That is bhajan. Hearing Krishna's words, Krishna's pastimes, like that. So it's acting both ways. Before you get Shraddha, by hearing, you get Shraddha. After you get Shraddha, by hearing, you're progressing, you're increasing your prema. Like that. So the point is, the essence of all the scriptures is surrender to Krishna. Vedaishcha sarvairahameva vedya. Only unto one who fully surrenders to the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord does the essence of Vedic knowledge become manifested, not to anyone else. This same principle is emphasized by Sri Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 5th chapter, text 24. इति पुंसार्पिता विष्णौ भक्तिश्चेन्नवलक्षणा क्रियते भगवत्यद्धा तन्मन्येधीतमुत्तमम्. A person who directly applies these 9 principles. What are the 9 principles? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So these 9 principles, hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. One who directly applies these 9 principles in the service of the Lord is to be understood as a greatly learned man, as we discussed. Ambarish Maharaj, he's actually a greatly learned man. He's engaging all his senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. And anyone who applies this principle, he's a greatly learned man, who has assimilated the Vedic literatures very well. For the goal of studying the Vedic literature is to understand the supremacy of Lord Sri Krishna. The goal of studying the Vedic literature is not to show that, see how learned I am. The goal is to understand the Supreme Lord. Sridhar Swami confirms in his commentary that first one must surrender to the spiritual master. Then the process of devotional service will develop. It is not a fact that only one who diligently pursues an academic career can become a devotee. We discussed this also yesterday, right? Sometimes when we go for a spiritual master, we see how many degrees he has behind his name. Oh, because I am an academic person, I will choose an academic spiritual master who has a lot of titles. That is not a criterion at all. It's not a criterion at all. Yes, because bhakti, you have to look for bhakti only. So the process of devotional service will only develop when we surrender to the spiritual master. It is not a fact that only one who diligently pursues an academic career can become a devotee. Even with no academic career, if one has full faith in the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he develops in spiritual life and real knowledge of the Vedas. And also on the principle of a spiritual master, right? Yesterday we were reading how even if one is a meat eater, right? He is eligible to be a spiritual master. But one is a great Brahmana but a Vaishnava, he cannot be a spiritual master. Here also, whether he has academic qualification or not, you have to look for how much faith he has in the spiritual master. That is the qualification. How much faith he has in the spiritual master and how much faith he has in Krishna. They go together. If you have faith in spiritual master, you will get faith in Krishna. Then choose such a spiritual master. Like that. Even without any academic career, if one has this qualification, and then he develops in spiritual life and he can be a guru. Yeah, he develops in spiritual life and real knowledge of the Vedas. So even amongst devotees, some devotees are from village background. They don't know how to speak English or things like that. And then you may tend to think, and some people are, highly qualified, and then we look up to them. Oh wow, this person is. We shouldn't have that in our heart. Certainly, sometimes you may deal according to circumstances. That's different. But in my heart, if I think like that, that means I have not understood bhakti. I have not understood bhakti. Because the qualification for bhakti is what? Shraddha. That's what you have to look for. It's so nice actually, if you know the principles, right? In any science actually, the definitions. Any science, when you study first, what do they teach you? They teach you definitions. Is it not? Anything, you take history, you take economics, you take agriculture and agronomy, whatever subject you take, first thing that they teach you in that subject, they start with definitions. Even in, like you study math, physics, chemistry, zoology, body, they start with definitions first, because once you know the definitions, then you can apply it. You can apply, and then you can understand things properly. So similarly, bhakti, the qualification for bhakti is what? Shraddha, faith. So how do you know if someone is a bhakta or not? Look at his faith, not on his externals. How many qualifications he has and all that. Look at
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's guru.
exactly. Yes. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj and and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, such a scholar, he recognized. He recognized. He didn't get carried away that I'm a great scholar, so I should look for another scholar. He went and he was not even accepting him as his, and he was ready to give up his life because he wanted Diksha from his spiritual master. So, yeah, so let's go for the real thing. Let's not get carried away by the glitter, right? Externals. Okay, so only one who diligently pursues an academic career, it is not true that only one who diligently pursues an academic career can become a devotee. All that we read. Yeah. Even with no academic career, if one has full faith in the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, he develops in spiritual life and real knowledge of the Vedas. The example of Maharaj Khatwanga confirms this. One who surrenders is understood to have learned the subject matter of the Vedas very nicely. Actually, that's also, how do you know who's a learned person? That's also true. How do you know? By his surrender. If he has surrendered, then you understand he is actually a learned person. Khatwanga Maharaj, he was told by the demigods, you have one moment left. You all know the story of Khatwanga Maharaj? Khatwanga Maharaj,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, you don't know? Okay. Khatwanga Maharaj was fighting. He was a great king on the earth. And uh, he was a great king on the earth, but he was so chivalrous, so powerful. The demigods invited him to come and fight on behalf of the demigods with the demons. He fought for a long time and he defeated the enemies of the demigods. The demigods were very pleased and they wanted to give him some benediction. What benediction can demigods give? Material opulences. So Khatwanga Maharaj said, I want to know how much time I have left in this life. Because you're demigods, you have that intelligence, right? You can see the future. So the demigod said, we are very sorry to inform you, you have only one moment left. One moment? All right, Hare Krishna. He left the heavenly planets, went to Vrindavan, and then there he sat on the banks of the river and he completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. In one moment, he perfected his life. One moment. How? By surrender. So who is learned? Khatvanga Maharaj is learned because he knew how to surrender to Krishna like that. So the example of Maharaj Khatvanga confirms this. One who surrenders is understood to have learned the subject matter of the Vedas very nicely. One who adopts this Vedic process of surrender learns devotional service and is certainly successful. Yes, that's why bhakti begins. Full Shraddha, the sign of full Shraddha is surrender, and after surrender, pure devotional service begins. One who is very proud, however, is unable to surrender either to the spiritual master or to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, if you are proud, you cannot surrender. Still, foolishly, you think, I am a pure devotee. That's a sign of pride. If you are thinking you are a pure devotee, if I am thinking I am a pure devotee, it's nothing but my pride. Because when I'm proud, I cannot surrender to anyone. I can't surrender to the spiritual master. I can't. Surrender means what? Surrender means now you do whatever you like with me. I'm yours. That is surrender. So such a person who is proud cannot surrender to spiritual master or to the Supreme Lord. So he cannot be a pure devotee. Thus he cannot understand the essence of any Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:11-18 declares शब्द ब्रह्मणि निष्णातो न शब्द ब्रह्मणि निष्णातो न निष्णायात् परे यदि श्रमस्तस्य श्रमफलो यथेनुम इव रक्षतः. If one is learned in the Vedic literature of Lord Vishnu, his work is a useless waste of labor, just like the keeping of a cow that does not give milk. It's very difficult when you have a cow, you have to feed the cow, right? And the cow does not give milk, you just have to keep, it's only one. It's hard work, simply hard work with no return. Of course, we don't do it for return, but just, you know, cows are taken care of because they're dear to Krishna's. We do cow protection. But for generally, why people keep cows at home? So they want milk for the family. But if there's no milk and if you simply have to keep feeding, then it's a labor, it's a burden. Like that, someone is very learned in the Vedas, in the scriptures, and he's writing also, right? Nice poetry, etc. But he's not a devotee of the Lord. What is the value of his work, his writings? There's nothing, no value. Anyone who does not follow the surrendering process but is simply interested in an academic career cannot make any advancement. Yes, sometimes some uh, devotees like uh, uh, like to learn so many books, or even to their children also they want can you teach more of this and that and everything. It's not necessary that you have to learn so many things, right? This is an, I don't know, oh, this book is over now. Bhagavad Gita is completed. We finished. Now let's learn another book, another book, another book. How much of it have you actually retained in your consciousness? That's important. I finished this. I have a certificate. Another thing. Mataji, can you give certificates for our kids when they have done this and that? Why certificates? So that you can show, isn't it? We have completed this, this, this. It's nice to show people, you'll get medals and you'll get recognition and all that. All this is only here in this material world. Really, what you have gained will be the change of consciousness in your heart. And what is that change of consciousness? To what extent are you now surrendering to Krishna? That's what we want for ourselves and for our children. You can read the same book for the entire life every single day. You'll be making a lot more advancement than shopping for more and more material, more and more degrees and more certificates. You can have nicely decorated things on your walls, but how much soft has your heart become? That is our achievement actually. Anyone who does not follow the surrendering process but is simply interested in an academic career cannot make any advancement. His profit is only his labor for nothing. If one is expert in the study of the Vedas but does not surrender to a spiritual master or Vishnu, all his cultivation of knowledge is but a waste of time and labor. So again, why Srila Prabhupada is explaining all this? Because these so-called learned Brahmana students want to beat Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after all that learning, what have they understood? Nothing. Nothing. Like that. So I will end here. Thank you all so much. I
Mataji,
also
Kadbanga Maharaj's the story actually reminded me that when he comes back, he sees all his relatives, everyone died because of the time duration. Remember in the story that reminded me that we are reading about this Manu thing. Remember
no,
Manu?
that's not Katvanga Maharaj. That was about Raivata king. No, what's his name? Kakudmi. Revati's father, Kakudmi. Balaramji's
Yes,
consort Revati, her father,
yes,
Kakudmi.
yes. Oh, yes, yes. That yes.
Katvanga Maharaj is different. Yeah.
No. Katwanga Maharaj also had this. That is what I'm
No,
trying to.
no. Katvanga Maharaj didn't come and see everyone is dead now. He had one moment. So in one moment he went and surrendered and finished. Like he made his life perfect. Like that. That is
No,
Katvanga Maharaj's story.
the one moment only, but I heard this story, Matri. I'm not 100% sure, but I heard that when he came, he saw no one. I mean, all the demigods must have told him that everyone has already gone. He's because the duration of the time which he spent was by that time everyone perished. So I don't know.
No,
That's what
that one you're getting mixed up with Kakudmi that we read recently. Brahmaji told him that he came asking for his Revati. I'm looking for a husband for Revati. I have these people in my mind. And then Brahmaji said, all the people that you have in your mind, they're all gone. Their sons, grandsons, great grandsons. So many, uh, you know, Yuga cycles have passed, 27 Yuga cycles have passed, so they are not even there. So that is Kakudmi. And of course, also Indradyumna Maharaj's case, also we'll see he also goes and comes back and everyone passes away. So, yeah, there are a few cases, but not Katwang Maharaj. Katwang Maharaj didn't have that much time to come and check, and why he's even he didn't even ask about what's going on earth for the demigods to tell him everyone has passed away and all that. Because you should see why that example is being given. That example is being given to see what is the focus of a devotional person. What is the focus of a transcendentalist? His focus is not on matter, my home, my family, my kingdom. No, he's not worried about all that. And even after fighting for the demigods for such a long time, he didn't think that now let me relax and let me take rest. It was Muchukunda. Yeah, I want to take rest. Okay, go and take rest. But this Hatvanga Maharaj's story is said because he had only one question. The demigod said, I want to give you something. We want to give you some benediction. What benediction can demigods give? This is what he's thinking. Demigods will give some material benediction. But what can I take from them? Yeah, they know future, they can see how much time I have left. So the whole his example is given to tell us what is a transcendentalist, what is where is his mind. In that context, Katwang Maharaj's example is given. This comes in the beginning of the second canto. So we are reading the second canto now, first chapter. In that we'll read about Katwanga Maharaj's story. So it comes to see how, and also there in that first chapter of second canto, we are talking about Grihamedis. Grihamedis have so many topics, right, to talk about, to think about, and then but a transcendentalist, he doesn't have so many topics. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिर एकेह कुरु नंदन बहुशाखा ह्यनंताश्च बुद्धयो अव्यवसायिनः. He is always focused on only one topic, right? So Khatwanga Maharaj, when he was offered, he said, how much time do I have in this life left? That was only one question he asked. They said, one moment. Bas. He just instantly left that spot, went to Vrindavan, sat there, and then one moment, what can you do in one moment? But even that one moment, he cashed that. He completely surrendered himself to Krishna. Forget about everything else. And in that one moment, he achieved perfection like that.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Sure.
Mataji, if you have so much problem with your coughing and all, then you can take rest. Sometimes we
Maybe I will see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I'll consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare
all.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.